What sort of things did you write about when you began writing poetry?
Nature, I think. Birds, bees, spring, fall, all those subjects which are absolute gifts to the person who doesn't have, sort of any interior experiences to write about. I think that the coming of spring, the stars overhead, first snowfall and so on are gifts for a child, a young poet.
I was brought up on the northern coast of Massachusetts, and my whole childhood was spent on the ocean. I remember the very spectacular hurricanes we used to have, where my grandmother's cellar would be flooded and there would be sharks washed up in the garden and so forth. And the image of the sea has been with me ever since, even though I've been inland for a few years. And I think one always goes back to something as vivid and colorful as this sort of experience. And I know that the sea comes into a great many of my poems. Sometimes it's just a subconscious sea, a sort of flow of thoughts and so on. Other times it's the real sea itself.
Perhaps this is an American thing. I've been very excited by what I feel is the new breakthrough that came with, say, Robert Lowell's life studies, this intense breakthrough into very serious, very personal, emotional experience, which I feel has been partly taboo. Robert Lowell's poems about his experiences in a mental hospital, for example, interest me very much. These peculiar, private, and taboo subjects, I feel, have been explored in recent American poetry. I think particularly of the poetess Anne Sexton, who writes also about her experiences as a mother who's had a nervous breakdown, as an extremely emotional and feeling young woman. And her poems are wonderfully craftsmanlike poems, and yet they have a kind of emotional and psychological depth, which I think is something perhaps quite new, quite exciting.
Were you a happy child? Did you have a sort of sporty life, or did you live in your imagination a great deal?
Well, I think I was happy up to the age of about 9, very carefree, and I believed in magic, which influenced me a good bit. And then at 9, I was rather disillusioned. I stopped believing in elves and Santa Claus and all these little beneficent powers and became more realistic and depressed, I think. And then gradually became more adjusted about the age of 16 or 17. But I certainly didn't have a happy adolescence, and perhaps that's partly why I turned specially to writing. As I wrote diaries, stories, and so forth, and was quite introverted during those early years.